and welcome to this edition of Movers and Shakers. In this series, I chat with a person or persons who have become an influential figure in club golf. Joining me for this episode is James Maclean. He's the manager of Bognor Regis and the current Golf Club Managers Association Manager of the Year. He's been the general manager at the Sussex Club since 2016. James, thanks for joining us. Start as ever with basically your life before you came to Bognor and became general manager. So talk us through the early days and how you sort of became interested in the game.
To be honest, my life in golf wasn't much before I was at Bognor Regis. I didn't take an interest in the game till I was sort of 15, so that was about 2005. I then I joined Bognor as a junior member. I lived just around the corner. And after 2 years, I started helping out in the pro shop, initially sort of one shift a week. And then that grew. By 2018, I was working full-time in there, helping our head pro out. And did that for 5 years up until 2013. And then sort of fell into the secretary manager's role at the time in the club office. So that the previous manager left in 2009 and the club didn't replace, and they ran by committee and struggled, unfortunately, with the recession and everything that was going on. And I got very lucky that I was in the right place at the right time. And the club didn't have much money, so going out and finding an experienced manager wasn't really on their radar. I just happened to be there and able to step in and help out.
Can you give us an idea just how bad it was when you took over? I mean, the figure of 400,000 in the red is what I've been quoted. I mean, what were the sort of, I mean, you must have had to make a lot of quite difficult decisions at the start. It must have been quite tough.
It was, yeah. I think at our worst, we were £570,000 in debt. And that was mainly via members' loans, and partly via a local trust loan. But the club was reliant on the goodwill of those members having their loans for the club to be able to survive. There was a small interest paid on it, so there was incentive for members to do it, but the club needed the cash to keep going. It wasn't easy, but I was lucky back then. I still am relatively young, but I was 23 when I started in the secretary manager role, and I was surrounded by lots of good committee members who guided me a lot, shall I say. So the decision making process was it wasn't just me as a manager individually stuck out there having to do it. It was definitely a joined up approach from the whole management committee at the time, and that certainly made things a lot easier.
Right. So you got help. Obviously, your golf club's full of successful businessmen. What were the kind of first steps to kind of on the road to recovery? Was it lots of little things, or how did it all kind of unfold?
Yeah, it was lots of little things really, but I guess what had happened is over the years that the club had been losing all this money, we'd lost lots of members, and the answer was at the time to strip everything back, was to cut the service levels. Little things like getting rid of Sky TV and not opening the bar as long of an evening, and just things, always stripping back the service that members were offered. And there was no investment on the golf course. All of that stopped, and it reached a point where, to be honest, we couldn't actually strip back anything further. We went from 7 full-time greenkeepers down to 4. We must have run for 4 or 5 years with 4 full-time greenkeepers. And anyone who's ever played here will know we're not a very big course. We're only 6,200 yards off the back tees, but we're a grass factory. It's not like the growth really slows down much in the summer. This place, we're cutting fairways 2-3 times a week, even through the peak summer conditions. It is it grows quickly out here. So to maintain the golf course with only 4 members of staff was really difficult, and that was probably one of the main reasons why we lost so many members in a short space of time. Was because the quality wasn't there to the same extent it had been previously, and probably to the same extent as clubs around us. And all the while this was going on, membership fees were going up every year because they needed to try and balance the books.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a good time to be a member, really.
So at your lowest ebb from a membership perspective, how far away from optimum membership levels did you get before you turned it around?
So the membership's full now, and that's 770 playing members. Yeah. And at our lowest, we got down to, it was between 400 and 450 playing members. So almost, you could say almost half.
Yeah. And in terms of those additional members, what does that mean in terms of additional revenue? Off the top of your head, can you calculate what those extra 300 members brings a year?
Well, it's hard to give an exact figure because obviously this is over the course of, say, 10 years, well, 9-10 years, and fees change. Obviously,
yeah.
9-10 years ago, the fees were probably £250 a year cheaper than they are at the moment. So it's hard to give an exact revenue figure, but it's not just the subscription income; it's all the secondary spend around it. If our bar and catering is in house, and to be honest, that was probably where one of our biggest turnarounds came initially was in our bar and catering operation. But we've got a set clientele really, because we can only trade with members and their guests, and obviously any visiting societies, etc. If you suddenly, as a business, on average, add an extra, or you almost say double your numbers of footfall on a weekly basis, that's massive for the turnover. So, like I say, I can't really give you an exact figure in terms of how much the revenue from subscriptions increased, but it just meant that everything got busier, and all of a sudden the revenue from all aspects of the club went up and kept going up for a number of years.
Right. So that process of at what point, how quickly did all that process happen, going from 440 or your lowest ebb to was it 4 years, 5 years?
Most of the work happened probably between 2015 and 2020, I would say. So 2013-14 was still pretty, let's say we were at the bottom of the curve. So we'd been going down and the curve sort of had started to plateau, and then 2015 it started to come back up the other side. It actually combined in with 2015. We brought in a flexible membership category, and that was a game changer for us. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into on that, but it was just all of a sudden we were appealing to a completely different age bracket of potential members, which was vital for the future of the club.
And am I right in thinking as well that the average age of your memberships come down by 10 years? Is that right?
Yeah. So in 2015, the average age of member was 67. And then over the next 5 years, up until 2020, the average age of new member we brought in was 47. But that meant that it brought the average age overall down from 67 to 57. So as of now, the average age of our member is between 55 and 57. 10 to 12 years lower than it was in 2015.
Yeah. People probably, most people won't know as well. You're going through what's an exciting and also incredibly busy process with regards the relocation. Do you want to just sort of talk us through how all that happened and what's happening at Bognor? Because it's obviously a huge news for you.
Yeah, it's exciting times. This again it's been on the cards since probably 2014 when we first started having these conversations. and it grew until 2017. We signed a planning promotion agreement with a company called Hallam Land, who are specialists in obtaining planning permissions for developments. So they're a partner of ours. So basically, they are financing all of the planning applications up front. And essentially, what we're doing is we have a planning application in for residential development on our current site. So that's for 480 houses, which will be built on 33 of our 97 acres. And we also have a planning application in for a site which is 1.7 miles away, which is a 180 acre site, which we have an option agreement on to buy should we get the planning permission for our current site, and we then do a deal with the developer to sell it. So basically, it's a full-scale relocation, similar to the Royal Norwich project that many people will be aware of. The key differences between the two are Royal Norwich bought an existing golf club. We're not doing that. We're buying 180, or hoping to buy 180 acres of greenfield farmland at the moment.
Right.
So we are completely starting from scratch. But getting the members on board with that at the time was very difficult because, again, this was back in 2016, 17. Membership numbers were starting to grow again, but they weren't where they needed to be. The average age was still very high, and lots of our members live near the current site, within walking distance. So understandably, people were going to have a vested interest, but there were a number of factors in why, as a board at the time, we did incorporated. There are a number of factors why, as a board of directors, we felt this was the right move for Bognor Regis Golf Club. And to give you a brief run through on those, the first one is our winter playability. Our current site, we have a river that runs around the edge of the golf course, and even as I speak at the moment, the river has overflowed onto the golf course, and we've been closed since last Tuesday, so over a week, and we're probably going to be closed at least another 5 or 6 days until the river level drops and we can get rid of the water that's on our site. So drainage, obviously, winter playability is a huge factor. The second factor is just future investment. We are, as I said earlier, we're a 6,200 yard golf course on 97 acres. We're hemmed in by housing all the way around, a river on one side, a road on the other. So we are starting to have issues with neighbouring properties and golf balls leaving the golf course, etc. We don't have any land around us to expand. We don't have a driving range. We don't have very good short game practice facilities. We do have a small practice ground, but you can't really hit more than an A time before you start getting dangerous. And obviously, the future of golf practice and game improvement is massive. And the demand for golf 365 days a year now is bigger than it's ever been. When this course was built, we've actually been at this site since 1921, so just over 100 years. When this course was built, it was built on heavy clay. The greens were built on heavy clay because you didn't really have irrigation systems back then, and you needed to keep moisture in the greens in the summer to keep them alive. People didn't play in the winter because you didn't have waterproof clothing and rainproof gloves and everything that you have now. So golf was very much a seasonal sport. Well, now with all the waterproof clothing, with everything, that we're spending money every year trying to drain a golf course that was built not to drain. And so the redevelopment gives us an opportunity to start again, blank canvas. Let's build something that's going to be here for the next 100 years. Let's make it as special and as fantastic as we can, and give our members a facility that they can be proud of going forward. I'm not saying people aren't proud of this club, because they are, but if we stay as we are, then in 15, 20 years time, I can pretty confidently say that we would struggle to be here because of the demands of the modern golfer.
And if everything goes well, what's the time frame? I know planning can be, sometimes things don't obviously go to plan with planning, and can be quite a volatile situation with obviously the way the process works. But if it all goes to plan, what will the time frame? How will it all pan out?
As you say, it very much depends what happens with planning. I think we're getting closer. We think the planning applications first went in January this year, so they've been in almost a year now. We're hoping for determination by the end of January next year, so sort of 2 months away really. It's going to depend on whether that is approved or rejected. And obviously, if it's rejected, we need to look at the grounds for why it's rejected, and then decide whether there's going to be an appeal process or not. But let's say it's approved. If it's approved in January, then I would have thought we could potentially be in a position to start the development of the new site by either autumn 23 or spring 24. And from there, you're probably talking 2.5 years before the new site is finished and open and ready to play. One of the key clauses when the members voted in favour of doing this, there were 3 key criteria. The first one was that golf must be continuous. So we stay playing on our current golf course until the new site is ready for us to move into. The second was that the new site, because we didn't have a site at the time, the new site must be within 2 miles of the current clubhouse. And the third key criteria was that at the end of it all, we need to have at least £3 million in the bank to safeguard the long-term future of the club. So obviously that's what members voted for. We were very lucky. We got 87% of the membership that voted in favour of that. So it was a pretty strong mandate to move forward with it. Obviously, over recent times, that was back in 2017. So since then, the club has gone from strength to strength, and now, certain groups of members are questioning whether we still need to do the relocation, because obviously, in that 5 to 7 years, we've repaid all our debt. We've got no members' loans. We've got a full membership. The club's trading really well. We've grown massively, but we have now reached our peak, and we've got 90 to 100 members on a waiting list, and that's growing by the day. And we've outgrown our current facilities. So yeah.
While you've been talking, I've put a couple of images up of you of the new plans. They look really exciting. We're talking about a much bigger golf course with an extra 9-hole par 3 course, and obviously all the practice facilities that you were talking about. It looks phenomenal. Have the members had any input into the new course, and who's designed that for you?
So we have kept members updated on everything that's going on, but we haven't asked members for their feedback on whether they want a par 3 or a par 4 or a par 5 starting, for example. Quickly in this process, we realised that we are talking vast sums of money and vast sums of responsibility, and we need to use professionals. So one of the first appointments we made was to bring in European Golf Design as our course designers. Many people will be aware of European Golf Design. Their pedigree is second to none. They do all the work for Ryder Cup golf courses, for European Tour. They're obviously affiliated to. They don't build bad golf courses, and we're very lucky that we've got Gary Johnston as our designer. Gary also designed Dubai Hills, which won the world's best new golf course in 2019. So we are working with the best, really, and we're being led by them. We're saying to them, we're having an input on, we're saying we don't want a links golf course. We still want to be a parkland golf course. And and we're having an input on the sort of types of bunkering that we like, etc. But in terms of the flow of traffic around the golf course and the general course design, we're very much leaving that in their hands. There's a fine line between keeping members informed of what's going on and then allowing the members to have too much say in what's going on. Otherwise, we'll end up with 770 opinions on everything, and which is healthy in some ways, but very unhealthy in other ways.
Yeah. One final quick question. Obviously, Golf Club Manager of the Year. What did that mean to you to win that? Obviously, lots of long hours and late nights and arriving at the golf club in the dark and leaving in the dark. And
yes,
that was something special.
That happens anyway this time of year, unfortunately. But it was a real honour. I mean, just that the board of directors here nominated me for it. Just to be nominated was amazing. To be thought worthy by your own employers, effectively. To then be shortlisted by the GCMA board was special again, and to then actually win the award was phenomenal. I mean, there were some great guys and ladies that were nominated, all with fantastic stories of turnarounds that they've gone through at their clubs. So yeah, I really wasn't expecting to win, but it was a real honour, and it's something that I'm extremely proud of. I've got the certificate displayed in a frame on my desk, so everyone that comes in sees it as my little bit of showing off. But I'm just proud of it. Yeah, I'm proud of the GCMA. Ironically, today I'm wearing one of their jumpers, which has timed in well. I'm proud to be a member of the association, and without that background, I wouldn't have had the networking opportunities and the learning and the development opportunities to get Bognor Regis Golf Club to where we are. So, yeah, really proud of it.
And the offers from other clubs have been flooding in, obviously, since then.
Yeah, they haven't got enough zeros on the end at the moment. But no, I mean, people joke about that, and they say, "Oh, your aspirations to move on, etc." But as I said to you earlier, I fell into this role. I didn't choose a career in golf club management. I saw the club was struggling, and hopefully I was able to help with that. And then I just fell into it, but I fell into it because I am passionate about this club and I want this club to succeed. And obviously, when you've got a redevelopment project on hanging over you, that's not something that comes along very often. And I definitely do not want to walk away from that. I've got the vision of the new site in my head. I've been working for 5-6 years with various professionals on this, whether it's clubhouse architects, course architects, whatever. I absolutely want to see this through to completion. And it will be another amazing addition to the CV when we get there, and hopefully we build this fantastic facility that everybody's looking forward to.
Well, good luck with everything, James, and thanks for your time. And we'll obviously keep people updated on Golfnews24 in terms of how it all goes, and we'll keep your fingers crossed for planning. But for now, thanks for joining us, and good luck for the next year and onwards.
Thank you. And just to quickly add, if anyone wants to view more on the project, we've got lots of information on our club website. We've got a separate tab for development project, and you can read all about it and keep updated on the progress there. But thank you very much for your time.
Not a problem. Thank you.